This has Toronto Raptors fans salivating, as there have, of course, been a ton of reports and rumors about the Toronto Raptors improving their roster over the course of the season, but Shams just revealed a major insight along with other developments amongst teams across the Eastern Conference that, frankly, has Toronto Raptors fans amped up about the group that's currently out getting fielded for this Raptors team and new guys that are coming into the mix that we are very, very excited about. So we're going to break down what these new reports and developments are that have Raptors fans pretty amped up and what we should expect from this Toronto Raptors team going into this offseason and more specifically into next year. So lots of stuff to break down out here in this video. But folks, just want to say, I've been appreciating all the love and support we're getting, especially the Raptors are knocked out, not playing basketball here now at this point. You guys have been tuning the vids and leaving some nice comments. So, we're growing this community here, 37,423 right now. Let's see if we can get 37,500 of, to grow this community. The mission is to get 38,000 before the NBA draft lottery to maximize our luck for Cooper Flag. But more importantly than that, I just want to say thank you for everyone that's still tuning in the videos, even with the Raptors knocked out. And there's still lots of stuff going on with this Raptors team. So let's just dive straight into it because, again, one of the major topics of discussion, one of the major talking points has, of course, been what's going on with this Raptors squad. What can we expect from this team in terms of moves, in terms of transactions, whether leading to the NBA draft and free agency to build up this team? Because the Raptors are in a position right now where, of course, you have Scottie Barnes out there in the mix. You have just acquired Brandon Ingram on this team, and there is hope, there is belief, there is motivation to be a playoff team, to be a contending team in the not just near future, but next season. So how are things going to look in terms of moves, transactions, and all these types of things? But one thing that everyone is overlooking is how's the rest of the conference shaping up here now at this point? Because there are a few openings, and the Eastern Conference has been wide open for a very, very long time. But it's looking like it's going to be even more open because of these new reports. So we'll take a look at them here right now. Essentially, the Shams has come out and said that the rest of the league is bracing for some level of change to the Celtics roster this offseason. Sources have been telling me for weeks that the Celtics will be exploring trade options this offseason. And in the context of what was going on there, essentially this is all a money move for the Boston Celtics. They are going to be capped, second apron to heck with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown under these new giant extensions, and then big contracts coming the way of course, Derek White's under a big one, Drew Holiday has a big contract, Kristaps Porzingis. They are going to have to get off of some pieces. They are going to have to trade away some of these guys in order to not be absolutely just, destroyed by the salary cap implications for a new owner, for a new team. Now, you might be looking at this and be like, oh, why are Raptors fans looking at this? It's just one team that's going to be getting worse out there in the Eastern Conference. Well, that's just one. But we look at the whole mold of the East and what's happening here and right now. And the Cavaliers are, of course, the top of the Eastern Conference, and they looked very scary, looking very impressive over the course this year. They looked very human in their most recent game against the Indiana Pacers, and while, of course, they have Evan Mobley, they have Donovan Mitchell, they still have star players. They'll be a tough team regardless to face next season, but you look at a guy like Ty Jerome, who's going to be on another squad next season. They aren't going to be able to pay him in his impending free agency. They're losing some depth. They're losing some pieces. Yes, they didn't have Darius Garland, but, that one game, from the top team in the Eastern Conference, there's some shakes. Again, we won't overreact to one specific game there now at this point, but you look at the Pacers, the Knicks, they're all solid teams. The Bucks, we have some interesting developments on this team on that front, so we may as well just bring those up here now at this point if we have this here. No, so basically the screenshot's not pulling up, but there's some intrigue about the actual Giannis destinations, and frankly, they might try to run it back for one more year. Of course, the Raptors, if as soon as the fire sale happens in Milwaukee, then you get excited there. But the last thing Raptors fans want to see is an overpowered team in the Eastern Conference get Giannis. A team like the Knicks or a team like the Miami Heat, even resurrecting their sort of dead corpse out there with Giannis trade happening. That's the last thing Raptors fans want to see. Of course, the number one thing Raptors fans want to see is us acquiring Giannis without having to give Scottie Barnes. Realistically, it's Giannis for Scottie, but that's a debate that was all made in the last video. But if the Bucks keep Giannis, that is a very, very good scenario for the Toronto Raptors because, frankly, that team is cooked next season. They don't have Damian Lillard. They traded for Kyle Kuzma, basically all their assets for Kyle Kuzma this year. So they don't really have any young pieces. They don't have like Johnson coming up in the big style at this point. And Kuzma was absolutely horrific. If Giannis is just buried away out there on this Milwaukee Bucks squad, that's a huge positive there. So there's an opening out there to get in the playoffs for that mix. The Pistons, of course, are getting better, but they don't have any avenues to, acquire any big free agent. We'll see. We'll see with the Pistons. The Pistons, the Pacers, and the Knicks are all teams that could potentially get better next season, but I don't think there's an avenue for them to take massive leaps. The Magic, they've dealt with their own injury issues. They've dealt with their own sort of things happen over the course of this year. The Heat have completely fallen apart. The Hawks are in no man's land. The Bulls are in no man's land. And then, the teams below us, the Sixers, the Nets. Unless the Nets get Giannis, it's there's not a lot of teams. There's not a lot of squads out there in the Eastern Conference that I'm worried about. And we look at this Raptors group. We look at this Raptors team without any trades, without any blockbuster moves, right? You have an RJ Barrett that's playing a star caliber player. You have Scottie Barnes, who is the centerpiece of this organization. You brought in Immanuel Quickley a couple of seasons ago, and hoping he takes that leap to be that bona fide star point guard that you gave a ton of money to. Jakob Poeltl is taking his game to the next level, and then you have the development of Gradey Dick, Ochai Agbaji. You have AJ Lawson, who's looking really well. Jacoby Walter. You have so many guys. Jamal Shead, Jamison Battle. The Shedheads. Jamal Shead is looking like he could take a serious leap over the next couple of seasons in terms of a bona fide PG out there in the NBA. And then not even on this list is Brandon Ingram, who you just added into your team, who you just added into your squad, right? That if you look at it, right, Brandon Ingram, 22 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 37% from the three-point line, just 27 years old. He's not old and washed by any stretch of the imagination. You are adding a former All-Star to this Toronto Raptors team of developing, of emerging young talent that's out here in the mix in an Eastern Conference that, as we discussed, as we looked at through the reports of the Celtics having to trade people, the Cavs not being as scary as their regular season shown, the Toronto Raptors are putting together a roster, putting together a team, even without, the potential for landing Cooper Flag out there in the NBA draft. And we don't know what young pieces coming in. We know we also have that second round pick as well, which Masai Ujiri's just been able to hit on with these types of picks without adding anyone in free agency. The Toronto Raptors have a really solid opening. They have a really nice opening in terms of making a run and making a push for this upcoming season, because everyone's talked about, hey, the tank's been going on, this team was mid, looking at the playoffs, all these teams are competitive and things like that, and I completely understand, because frankly, the level of basketball that's been played out there, I don't know if it's the case, what's going on, but the games feel a lot more exciting in the postseason this year than they have in the past couple of seasons. And, I've seen some comments be like, oh, the Raptors were like one of the worst teams in basketball, right? Like, where were we in the standings? Overall in the East, 11th in the East. How are we going to be able to compete just by internal development or stuff like that? There's a lot of things that are always changing. Young guys are getting better. We're adding Brandon Ingram out there into the mix. And some of these teams in the Eastern Conference are taking a step down. And I'm not coming out and saying, hey, we are championship contenders. We are immediately going to be in the mix to win a title next season. But even if we don't make a home run swing, even if we don't get a Giannis, a Durant, or whatever the heck, the different players that have been listed and named out there on the open market, even if the Raptors don't take a major swing, I am excited. I am genuinely amped up to see how the squad looks, especially in the course trajectory of the Toronto Raptors as well as the East. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. You guys are the best thing as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out.